All right, good morning, folks. Beautiful morning today. I wanted to go over something, a lesson I had yesterday. So I want to talk about why negative reinforcement is so positive, right? See what I did there with those words, with those palabras? Yeah, you get it. All right. So yesterday I went and had another follow-up lesson with Annie the poodle. If you remember Annie, I did a board and train with her several weeks ago. Annie's a young dog, but she struggles with a lot of quirks, right? She's very, very different. Anything new freaks her out. She struggles. Her mama, Terry, hi Terry. I adore Terry. She's so cool. I think I told her I was going to physically choke her yesterday at one point because we have a good time when we work together, right? You have to when you're struggling with things. That's a whole other video. So when Annie was here, anything new, she would struggle and fight and really be freaked out by everything, okay? Terry had sent me a video of her with her breeder as a puppy when she went to see her. And you see all the puppies with their mama except for Annie. She's in the corner just by herself, not wanting to interact, right? So this was from day one. She was a little different. The more serious issues is she eats everything. So she's already had some medical emergencies due to eating things she should not. And she's had some medical emergencies because she has had some health issues going on that we never really figured out exactly what it was, right? So there's a lot of baggage that comes with Annie, but she's an incredibly sweet dog, very, very intelligent dog, and very capable of learning. Because of her quirks and that maybe she's a little weaker upstairs, we're not going to let her stay like that. We're going to help her come out of it, right? So I've been down to work with her a couple of times now since the board and train, and I'm going to be doing that for a while. It's going to take a long time. When I made that post yesterday about very easy way to prove what you're doing is good is just by showing dogs that you have shown when you're working with them 6 months later, a year later, 3 years later. To me, that's really important, right? I've shown dogs literally 8 years after they've been here. Difficult cases, 2 dogs in the same home killing each other. 8 years later, we've shown updates on everything, right? And I don't ask for that from people. They just send it because they're still into what we're doing. Now, several people commented that, there's nothing that you can do as a trainer if the owners don't follow through and do their homework, right? I understand. And of course, there's an exception to everything, guys, right? Not every client is going to be 100% successful. But this is the way I see it, and this is just me. So keep your granny panties on and don't get them in a knot here. This is just me. For me, the biggest challenge is taking that owner to a place to where they can have that success for life. That's the biggest challenge. That's where I put the work in, right? It's not work for me when there's a dog here, even a difficult dog. I don't consider that work. That's a challenge. That's something I love. But that real challenge is, what kind of owner am I dealing with? What do I have to change to make them successful? And every person is different, okay? In my experience, most people, most trainers put way too much on the plate of the owners, give them way too much information, way too much, right? So one of the first things I tell people at the seminars is, my goal for this seminar is not here for entertainment, not here to make this entertaining for you, but to actually provide you something, at least one thing that you can take out and use and make you better. That's it, right? And it's only been a few days since Canada and getting swarmed with those emails from trainers that said this is the one thing that changed everything, right? Just got a wonderful text yesterday from an outstanding young trainer that I'll talk about later that had been dealing with a difficult aggression case, and she said, it was this one thing I took from you that I passed along to the owners and it changed everything, and they were blown away. That's what I tried to do always, right? So now I had posted a lot of videos with Annie, right? Simple things, basic things, but she was doing really well. When I went to see her yesterday, Me and the owner talked, went over all the little issues and quirks, and what I was saying was, okay, that's unacceptable, right? But we take for granted as trainers how the everyday owner's mind thinks. So little tiny things that we would consider they don't. Little things. For example, right? All of a sudden Annie doesn't want to put on any of her collars or any equipment, nothing, right? So she takes off and she runs and she can't catch her. Well, the everyday person doesn't think, well, when she's in her crate or in her pen, we put everything on there first, right? We put the leash on, you stand on the leash, you do what you got to do. We don't give her the option. We take stuff like that for granted. But these are little things that a lot of people don't think of, right? We don't give the dog the opportunity, okay? So I'll try not to get off track here. So yesterday when I got there and I'm hearing about all the difficulties we're having, I said, okay, screw this. Let's go. We're just going for a walk. Let's just go outside. And the other thing that Terry said was she can't put the e-collar on her. Like the dog's just like, hell no. And we'll get into that also. So we'll put a leash on the dog. And of course, the dog starts behaving as soon as I show up. She's a perfect angel. She's laying down here, put your collars on. And Terry's like, son of a bitch, like this is bullshit, right? And so at the time she was just wearing a slip collar, Joel Silverman's alternative collar, because Terry loves them and they're great collars. But when I took Annie out, she like hit the brakes and was like, hell no, I'm not going anywhere. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Bullshit. We're not having this, right? We're not having this. Like, this is unacceptable. There's no reason for it. Like, she acted like a different dog. This is the reality of dog training. It's not all friggin' roses and good smelling things and unicorns, right? And I was like, oh no, this is ridiculous, because I know what she can do and what she's done with me. So now, again, I have to think about what's going to benefit the owner, not me. Now, anyone who has followed me, I don't use a lot of prong collars, never have. I tried to be more open to it now because they benefit a lot of people. So I told Terry, go get me your prong collar. We're going to put that on. Why did I do that? Right away with any other collar, right? Even the alternative collar, which I love, she's able to fight it hard. And now there's a ton of conflict. And it does become physically hard on her neck and physically hard on her mental state. And now there's this big battle, right? We're not going to have that. Not going to have that. So we put the prong collar on. I helped her along. I didn't give her an option. I didn't say, oh no, you will do this, right? But I said, come on, Annie, this is what we're going to do, girl. You know, you don't have a choice. You got this, right? And I talked her through it. And we started walking. And very quickly, she went back to normal and she's doing fine, okay? But that's with me. So now I have to pass her off to Terry. And I said, okay, Terry, this is what you're going to do. And as soon as I give her the leash, the dog changes. That's normal. That's my job now. That's my number one responsibility, to get that dog to perform the same exact way she does with me, with the owner, right? So we just walked, and all the little things that were going on, we're fixing. Not through the dog. Not we're going to punish that behavior. Not take out food. We're going to reward her when she's next to you. No, none of that. None of that. I'm going to show Terry where she's going wrong, why the dog is all of a sudden changing, okay? And again, for me, this is why walking your dog is a very powerful tool, and a lot of trainers are very against it. I'll never understand that. That's something I'll never change. We could fix so much if, especially for the everyday dog owner, if they could just get their dog to walk nicely, that could snowball into so many other things. So we went for a nice walk. We fixed things along the way. I helped Terry change all little things. And by the time we got done with the walk, everything was going wonderful. We worked on some basic obedience. We found a bunch of big boulders that we were sending her to for a place, jumping off and on things, getting the dog back in the mental state she needs to be. So that was very, very wonderful for Terry to see. I know some of you have no interest in this, but somebody does, right? Somebody does, and they need to hear it. So when we got back from the walk, I didn't say, and before we did that, by the way, I had her put the e-collar on, not even turn it on. I wanted to see her response, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. It's okay. But now when we got back from the walk, we went in the house and said, Terry, put her e-collar on. All right, you don't even have to turn it on. Put it on. This was the important part for the owner to see. We put the collar on. We went back outside and we went for a walk. And Annie was perfectly normal, right? Wasn't the collar. It was anything new. Anything that we started accommodating the dog for and letting her get away with, she was going to exploit. The second she knew that she didn't have to do anything, if she just put on the brakes and threw a fit and acted very scared, and I'm not even saying she acted scared, I believe she truly is scared if she's allowed to be, right? But now that was very, very important for Terry to see. And we had a beautiful lesson together. And then I went and I got a redneck taco and a grape knee-high. And it was a very, very good day. Now, someone out there is going to say, well, why do you need the e-collar? Let's jump into the really important part here for those that are still extremely ignorant out there, douche biscuits. Okay. Anyone who understands the way I train, we don't need that e-collar for anything. We're not training anything with that e-collar. Nothing. Everything with Annie. Normally, I use a lot of food, a lot of motivation, a lot of positive reinforcement. Not with Annie. No food motivation whatsoever, right? And not a lot of play motivation for a while either. So everything is just leash and collar. Simple, basic, negative reinforcement. Okay? Negative reinforcement is very powerful for a dog like that struggles with everything, right? It allows them to better their own situation, and it's self-rewarding. Very, very simple. Now, why the e-collar? Two reasons. For one, Terry has a nice big piece of property, his big, huge front yard, and there's a road there where cars come flying by. To keep a dog in a backyard is like just a giant fishbowl, an outdoor fishbowl, right? It's the same thing over and over. There's nothing new. There's no mental stimulation there and minimal physical stimulation. Dogs need to run, especially Annie, the poodle. They have to be able to run. So that e-collar for that purpose is going to be for one thing, to keep her safe, for that just in case moment. That's it. And I've already done the training and I know how she responds and she's fine. I could trust her off leash. And if she does blow us off calling her, which we're always going to give her the option by calling her first, then I know that the e-collar is going to reinforce what she already knows and it's not going to be a problem. I already know that, right? I've already done that with her. But secondly, and just as important, if not more important, now remember what I said about her eating things. She's already wound up in really bad shape, right? In emergency rooms because of her eating things. Not good. Not good. That's something that we have to stop. That's not an option. You have the option of not letting your dog off leash. And by the way, here's the other thing. Can we trust her off leash to come to us? Of course we could train her to come without her. You don't need an e-collar to teach her good recall, guys. You don't. You don't, right? But why take the chance, especially with an everyday dog owner? Why take the chance? Do we need it? No. Now, some of these old douchebags, right? You got a lot of miserable people out there that are a little older and they bitch about the e-collars and they'll talk about how they got all this off-leash obedience. They never used e-collars. And they're right. They're right. But what they don't tell you is how brutal their response was when the dog didn't do, right? That's what no one talks about. That's what these guys and girls that have been training, 40, 50 years, that's what they don't talk about. They don't tell you that when they left the dog in a downstay and it moved, how they walk up to it, stomp their feet, pick them up, hang the dog, swing it around to bring it back to the down. They don't talk about that shit, right? They don't talk about when the dog goes after the chicken and they catch the dog and the dog catches a beating. They hang the dog up, swing it around, and then tie the dead chicken around the dog's neck for it to carry around for a day. They don't talk about that stuff, right? So the e-collar for these situations is by far the most humane option. By far. Okay? Now, we have to be able to stop Annie from eating things that can kill her, without it being associated with us, right? So, for example, if Annie is running around at the park or running around on Terry's big front yard and there's dogs coming or there's cars driving by fast and Terry says, Annie, come. If she doesn't respond immediately, now we can follow up with a level that's aversive enough to where the dog says, ah, shit, I gotta go. She understands what that is. She knows how to escape it and she knows how to avoid it, especially the next time. Simple negative reinforcement. Very, very basic, right? Now, when you can't have your eyes on her, which no matter how hard you try to manage that, there's going to be times where you're not watching the dog. Or even if you're with the dog on leash, you turn your head for a second. I know, I've had her. She'll grab something very quick, right? Can we train that to where she doesn't touch anything she's not supposed to when you're with her? Absolutely, easy. She doesn't touch anything with me. And that was easy done with a leash and a collar. That was it. I told her no right from the start. You can't do that. And it was never an issue again. It's easy. But what do you do when you're not with the dog? When your eyes are not on the dog? When the dog knows you're not there or not looking and it sees something on the ground, a nice, delicious looking rock, and says, I'm going to eat that rock. Now, this is your opportunity to make true constant change with that tool when it's not associated with you, right? Where you could watch her out your back window and you see her look around and go to grab something, and now that rock is the one that provides the very high level aversive, and the dog goes, holy shit, I'm never doing that again, right? It's why underground fences work. Not associated with people, right? They're associated with boundaries, maybe a little beep warning, a little something else. But when it comes to stopping a dog that eats everything in sight, you don't want that associated with you, and you want it to be very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. That is life-saving. That's very important, right? So any force-free or purely positive trainer that says they can fix that, they're full of shit. They're full of shit. They'll never fucking show it. They're full of shit. Stop giving these people the time of day and even having these fucking conversations with fucking Whack George. Stop doing it. Stop making him relevant. Stop. He's never going to show you him training a dog. He's going to keep reciting the same bullshit literature that he's been doing for years, and he's going to say it over and over, and you fuckers keep giving him a platform to talk. Just stop. Stop. Start showing the work, people. Just start putting out good work, letting people see it, and that's your best argument. Not these bickering back and forth so you can get social media views and attention, right? Stop giving people that shouldn't have a platform. Stop sitting down and talking to them. Fucking stop. You're a big part of the problem. Just show the work. Just show the work and say, now your turn, right? If I wanted to show someone that I have a more handsome penis, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to show them, go, look how handsome he is, right? He's a very handsome penis. Now, the only way they're going to be able to combat that is to show me they have a more handsome penis. And I think they're going to lose, but at least there's something to compare to. You understand what I'm saying? It's very simple, guys. So, for Annie's sake, like I said, most people won't have interest to this, but then people will say, man, you get the best clients. Why do you get the best clients? And when I tell them why I have the best clients, they think there's something else I'm keeping out. No, I have the best clients because, yes, I am fortunate that I only work with people I want to work with, but also I work with them in a way that's doable for the life of the dog. It's not about going outside and spending 30 minutes doing basic obedience. It's about the 24/7 that you're interacting with that dog and living with that dog. It's not even extra work. It's taking the bad habits that are causing the behavior problems and just replacing them with good habits to make the behavior better. It's that simple. And you don't do that with a 1 hour go-home lesson, a 2 hour go-home lesson, a 2-week board and train. It takes time, and every human is different. Every human needs to see things a different way. Every human needs to make mistakes for them to learn how to do it correctly, and they can't be scared to make mistakes. So for me, I have a good time with it. We have fun. It's never going to be stressful, right? Never going to be stressful. Really important, guys. Really important. So again, touched on a couple of different things here, but the main thing here is negative reinforcement was the most powerful thing to help Annie get over her imaginary fears. Because they are imaginary. There's nothing to be actually scared of there, right? I'm not going to use food to try to get her out of that. Not saying you can't use food here and there for certain things. I'm not going to use punishment, right? I'm going to use a little bit of pressure, more social pressure than anything, and guidance from me to let her know you don't have to worry about this. Ain't no big deal. There's nothing to be scared of. But then I have to be able to transfer that to her mama. If she can't do that, then I fail. And if the owner doesn't commit to it and change things, that's not on the owner. That's on me. Then I failed to teach that owner enough the understanding of why this is so important. That's on me. So dog trainers need to take more accountability on why their owners aren't doing what needs to be done to help this animal. But again, it's not a popular opinion, but that's my opinion. Okay? If that dog looks like shit 6 months down the road, a year down the road, that's my failure. That's my failure, not Terry's failure. That's my failure. And I take that very serious. So I'm sorry this is long, but for some people, they'll take something out of it that will help them with that next person. Okay? Now I'm going to get ready to go see a client and go do a little tracking with Dante. Then I'm going to go set up my trail cams, maybe hang a few tree stands, and it's going to be an absolutely amazing day, people. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stop giving the douche biscuits any attention. Just train your dog and show it. Peace.